because there is a lot of pressure from both sides of the parents to prove the concept. So you need to have at least one kid to prove the concept that everything works on both sides, and you keep the parents, the grandparents from both sides happy. And that's possible only because of the very, less demanding lifestyle. It wasn't so demanding as it is now. And we will go and talk about how does that affect us and how has that induced a transformation that is ongoing. One, I would say, actually not one, the single most significant factor in that acceleration and the ability to do it for young people to get married quickly and have kids is the family support. Of course, grandparents can do a better job with the obvious experience, and they might even improve on the mistakes that they did with you as the beta version and get a better job with your kids. But the danger is that they tend to tell your kids all the silly stories about you as a kid. And then you wonder why your kids are not taking you seriously. So parents and family support is the main reason that we move. But when we went through the Renaissance, particularly in the last 20 years, things changed. A much more demanding lifestyle, metropolitan society, has driven us to change our attitudes and change our expectations from life. So there was the rise of the yuppies. I'm sure you know what the yuppies mean. It's young urban professionals. These are people who are moving from the small towns, the villages, to the city to work, and they will pursue a career in order to basically grow and have a lavish lifestyle. They have a reputation of spending on themselves, self-centered, on how they look. They spend a lot on how they look and what car they drive and so on. They're not in a hurry to get married and have kids. So this is something that started in the US in the early 80s, and I can see it around in Oman. But every time I talk about it, people don't take me seriously. For the last 10 years, I've been talking about it, and now we did some research to prove it. Second is the rise of dinks, dual income, no kids. And this is a vicious capitalist part of the society. It sounds negative, but it's good for the society. I mean, it sounds cruel, but it's good for society. These are two professionals earning dual income, but they have no kids to spend it on. And they spend it on a lavish lifestyle, and they basically help the economy, so it's not necessarily negative. So we decided to prove this through a research. I teamed up with Dr. Fatma Al-Hajri, who is a seasoned socioeconomic researcher. I knew she would do a better job, so I had to team up with her. And we did this research, which proved a lot of the theories that we were talking about, and I've been talking about it for some time now. So our research was responded to by around 1,200 people, around 40% females, 60% male, and we sort of segmented them into three segments: 20 to 29, 30 to 39, and 40 to 50, to actually see how those segments differ. So we found the truth. There are yuppies amongst us, perhaps even tonight. We found that in the age range of 20 to 29, the majority are not married. They're single. During my time, you've got to get married by 25, or there's something wrong with you. So there's a lot of pressure to get married before 25. But now you have people who are 29 and not married. So you have the rise of the yuppies. Sorry. However, we thought we'll double check our statistics, because this is, again, was an exploratory study, and we thought we'll check. We went to the National Center for Statistics and Information, and this is their numbers. There's almost 7%, 6.8% lower number of marriage certificates between 2015 and 2014. And 2016 was actually the lowest year of registered marriage certificates since 2012. So this is a trend that is continuing and getting even deeper. So we thought maybe that's done now. We have the yuppies proven. We go to the dinks, double income, no kids, or dual income, no kids. We looked at two groups, the 20 to 29, 30 to 39, And we found that 35% of the 20 to 29, those of them who got married, the 46%, remember, who got married, are not having kids. So that pressure from the two parents to prove the concept is not working anymore. It's not working because they're not living with the parents anymore. They're living in the city and they don't have the family support. And without the family support, it's tough to raise kids. The percentage improves drastically when you come to the 30 to 39. That's when own pressure works. Because see, the things try to pursue a career, have a child-free life, but then age catches up and they actually start having kids. Now let's look at when they start having kids. How many do they have? See, first of all, let's talk about the age. The age is now, for first kid for a female in Oman, is 26.6. And in 93, the age was 20.7. So there's a significant shift. But then when they start having kids, how many do they have? If you look at the fertility rate, it is now, let's first look here. We are competing with Europe here. We're almost catching up with the average European age for the first baby. We've even beaten Bulgaria. Bulgaria is at 26, right? So things are moving and moving fast, and the changes are around us. And the fertility rate follows a similar pattern. We're now at 2.8, according to the National Center for Statistics and Information. And only 19 years ago, it was 7 kids. It was 6.9 kids. So we're less than half in 19 years, or 24 years, but 19 years between 2012 and 2093. So this is a significant change in numbers. So we went deeper to look at, now that these are married, either dinks or with a kid or 2, or 2.8, as the stats say, who is the spending boss in the house? So we found from our survey that 62% of the males, they still think they are the bosses on the spending, and 38% is the female. The good thing is we're seeing a shift from both genders recognizing the role of the other. And this is very positive. So there is a shift from marrying a dependent into marrying a partner. Not a partner only in making money, earning money to the household, but also in deciding how that money is being spent. So then we looked at international statistics to correlate. This is from the US, from Harvard Business School. In the furniture, the buy decision is made 94% by the wife. And those 6% who resisted are the last of the caged men, the macho caged men. But they've left the macho part for us, which is the vehicles and the electronics. But even the family vacation is 92% decided by the wife. It's 100% in my family. So this is coming your way, gentlemen. Praise yourself for it. In Oman, the Ministry of Social Affairs said that 61% of women said that they participate in the decision-making of spending. I guess they're being nice, but it's probably closer to 100%. Now, we went into where that money is spent. So vehicles, we found that 95% of our respondent male own their own car, and a lower percentage, 84% of females own the car. The interesting thing that we found that more than half of the females bought a new car, and only 26% of the male bought a new car. You would have thought men should be buying the new cars because nobody stops to help them when they crash on the road. Everybody stops to help the young lady when she crashes or her car breaks down. So this is where the economic part plays in. If we see the car advertising, it's all macho, it's all towards the men. But it's the females that are spending more on the cars. I guess another thing that the men go for a used car, but a sports car more expensive, so they can't afford the new one. Owning a house, we found that 43% of the segment that we looked at own their home. That's close to Britain, but in Britain, they are saving to buy a home. our guys take a loan and buy the home anyway. You know, and in Oman, the stats for households, 87%, one of the highest in the world of house ownership. Now, this is an illustration of how we spend the money. 20 to 29, they spend on the automobile and transport more. That's their priority. Then it's the phones. That's why they complain about the telecom services and costs. And then food. And then the house. It's not a priority now because they're living as yuppies. 30 to 39, it's food and going out. This is now dinks, you know, and according to a study in India, dinks eat outside 4 times a week. So they go out and spend a lot of money on eating out. Car becomes a priority because if there are 2, maybe they'll buy 1 car, less of a priority. And home is now creeping in as a more important priority, as you can see. And phone is slipping to number 4 because they're growing up, they're raising themselves to having a kids and making a family. The 40 to 50, food's still there. They go out, eat, and spend on food. House has moved up. You can see the car driving out, and the home is becoming a priority. So this is a natural phenomena that is driven by the social behavior. In the UK, for example, transportation is a priority because they use a lot of public transport, and it's very expensive to have and own a car in the UK. But home is a priority number 2. This is interesting. This is going to theaters and recreation. They spend on going out for social engagement, cultural engagement. That is still low here, so that's an economic opportunity. But look here, the phone is number 9. Didn't make it to the top 5 or to top 4. So they don't spend a lot of time on the phone. Life is a lot more demanding there. So how does this create opportunities in the economic space? For dinks, actually, yuppies should come first. Yeah, yuppies, you need decent bachelor's accommodation. These people can now afford it. They're moving up and staying longer as bachelors. But the society, this is underserved. There are not enough decent bachelor's accommodation. There are not enough young people, bachelor entertainment, cultural engagement, leisure centers, gyms. This is what these guys require. And car deals. They need car deals, obviously, if that high number of them own their own cars. For the dinks, middle class, small homes, part-time help with the house work. I think this will be solved partly by the robots, hopefully, in the future, with the industrial revolution number 4. And then home deliveries, self-driven cars, I think in the future will help with this, but we need a temporary solution to bridge the gap until those self-driven cars come. Couples entertainment, theaters and cinemas. I think this is important for dinks because they have each other all day. They get fed up of each other. They go to the cinema so they don't have to talk to each other for 2 hours. So these services, I think, are still not there in the level and quality that's required and the abundance that is required for this growing segment of society. The new family makers, they need child care support. It's not available everywhere. Nurseries, government preschool, because you still keep the kids until 6 years old. That's a lot of keeping. And now people have come up with many, many excuses as to why they don't have kids, because it's very tough to raise kids in the US. The study shows that it costs $250,000 to raise a kid. And it started a lot of anti-kid kind of social behavior. Some say I'm not having kids because my pets are allergic to kids. Some say that, and some studies actually said that kids are inducing poverty. So you can become poor if you have kids. So this is discouraging kids. And if you have a conducive society in terms of the services, you will have more kids. Flexible working hours for the mothers, the young mothers, and family recreation centers. Thank you. That was my point.